All right, today is our deadlift day. I have been kind of avoiding, if not scaling, our deadlift days lots. So I included two of my favorite movements. I really like handstand push-ups now, and I do like to do toes to bar when the numbers aren't very high, like number 7. So that's going to keep me motivated to actually do some deadlifting today. My barbell won't get super heavy. There's no way I'm going to RX this thing up to 205, but I am going to definitely increase my weight and see what my comfortable heavy 2 is. And if my heavy 2 feels okay, I might even maintain that barbell for the 4 and maybe for the 6, and only take weight off when it's necessary as we go down. How it is written though is that there is a weight prescribed for the 10 reps, for the 8, 6, 4, and 2. So as the rep scheme goes down, your barbell gets heavier, and then the rep scheme goes back up. It's a ladder where you go down in reps and back up in reps, and you can change the weight as you see fit to do that, ending with 10 back at that lighter weight. There's definitely a purpose to weightlifting like that with the progressive overload, and if you want to pick, 1, 2, 3, 5 different weight increments and go down the ladder and back up, that's probably the most efficient and the most effective if deadlifting is an easy movement for you. So you still want to get warmed up. My suggestion today for a warm up on this day will be 5 minutes on a machine, rower, or bike. Really get that blood moving throughout your body, and then a minimum of 25 kettlebell swings. I love the kettlebell swing to warm up the hinge. It can be a light kettlebell swing, okay? Does not need to be heavy, does not even necessarily have to go over your head, except that if we're doing a shoulder press for a handstand push-up, or if we're going upside down, or if we're hanging from the rig, having your shoulders warmed up is super important as well. But really get your hips doing this before you start to deadlift. Let me show you something that I learned in my course on the weekend that I'll be telling all of my class throughout this day today. When you're sitting on the ground in a deadlift, if you can sit here comfortably, and they suggested for like 15 minutes, if you can sit, if your hamstrings allow you to sit perfectly straight, sitting up, both your sit bones of your butt on the ground, if you can sit here flat back, I should sit this way so you can see, flat back for about 15 minutes while you're watching TV, that's a nice strong position. That position is the deadlift. So how I was just sitting with my feet out, back up, that's this. I gotta move my feet apart a bit, but that's this. So just imagine you're rotating me slightly, putting my butt on the ground again. I am sitting now in that position. If I was a straight leg deadlift, there I am. So how do you get better at stretching those hamstrings and getting into that beginning position of the deadlift where you're really going to be able to use your glutes and your hamstrings to lift versus up higher in your posterior chain and your back? How do you get better at doing that? Sit with some straight legs. Stretch out those hamstrings. Lengthen them. So that's not necessarily something you've got 15 minutes to do before today, but as a stretch afterwards. And if deadlifting is a hard movement for you, as it is for me, I'm going to spend some more time just hanging out like this and making these hamstrings get a little bit longer and a little bit stronger. All right, total aside, back to the workout. 10 deadlifts at your first weight. As soon as you're done those 10 deadlifts, you're going to go and do 7 handstand push-ups or 7 toes to bar. So progression for the handstand push-up is that weighted, seated. So let's pretend I'm sitting on a box. I should have brought that out. With a plate, up and down. You know what? I'm getting a bench. Give me 1 second. If I had a production crew, even a daughter or a husband that would help me, we would get through this faster. But really, truly, it's not about them. I'm just a bit unorganized for this video. Okay, I am watching people try to keep their legs out and then put this heavy weight up over their head and falling backwards off of the bench. Don't do that. Don't fall backwards, okay? First of all, if you sit on the bench this way and you start to fall backwards, the bench is going to catch you. So let's turn you. Second of all, let's engage the core without taking our balance completely off by bringing your feet off the bench in a bent knee, okay? So feet are off the bench, but my knees are still bent. Don't take them out there, okay? Right here. So I got 90-degree angles at my knees, just lifting them slightly off the bench. All that's doing is making me work my core. Up and down. So 15 is probably too light for most of you. You want to imagine that you are getting your shoulders strong enough to put you in the upside down position. And we all weigh more than 15 pounds. So go a little heavier than that. As soon as you're done, those 7 pushes and 7 toes to bar or hanging knee raises, whatever you're going to do for that movement, then you're going to go and do 8 deadlifts with a little bit heavier weight. So go down the ladder, increasing your weight, then go back up, higher repetitions, you can take the weight off. So when you do 4 deadlifts, then 7 and 7, 2 deadlifts, it gets to be where you're going to be doing those push presses and toes to bar fairly back to back because there's not a high rep scheme for the deadlift, but it does get to be a longer break from those other 2 movements as the number goes up in the deadlift. All right, work hard at doing a really good hinge, moving those correct muscles in that deadlift and not falling off the bench if you're doing those push presses.